Hello there, Niiamah Ashong here, and thanks so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We have today a great panel of outliers coming in to share their experiences about how they leverage what makes them different in order to create more impact, more income, and more integrity as they continue to grow and scale their businesses and their leadership. Today, I want to make sure you get a chance to get to know each of the esteemed panelists and roundtable participants we have today. We're going to start off here. Actually, we're going to start off with Ayomide, and then we'll go to Amir here. But Ayomide, would you mind letting us know about you? Tell us about your business and podcast, and then also, I like to have fun with this. If you were a dessert, what dessert would you be?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ayomide Femi or Bayomi, and I have I have a podcast, okay, that is branded after my name. And on this podcast, I get to share, everything on family, on faith, on love, relationships, business, money, and all of that. So I have tried to, brand that around my name because going forward, I think on the long run, I want to have my name stand out as a brand on its own. So that's why I have branded it along my name. Um, yeah, that's that about that.
Just to be clear, like what is the name? Is it just is it your full name? Like
Ayomide Femi is the name.
nice, nice.
Ayomide Femi is the name of the podcast. Yeah, so if I were to be a dessert, what would I be? I think I'll go with pizza.
Nice, nice. I like that. Why pizza today?
I think everyone, naturally, I think generally everyone likes pizza.
Yeah, yeah, can't go wrong with it. I love it. Well, Amir, let's move on to you. Tell us a little about you. Tell us about like your podcast and the work that you're doing, what you stand for. And if you were a dessert, what would you be?
Oh, my name is Amir Agbaje. I work for a government agency, actually an anti-graft agency in Nigeria, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. My agency stands for integrity, and we are the leading agency in the fight against all economic and financial crimes and all forms of corruption. My podcast actually was birthed from my life experiences, my inner thoughts, my belief, and my own school of thought. That is why I called it Agbaje's thoughts. You know, a whole lot of things are being done in such a way that I don't feel should be done. And I use my podcast one way or the other to just pass the message across to the general public. And if I was going to be a dessert, I think I'd be a biscuit. I choose a biscuit. Or most likely a biscuit. Everyone loves biscuits. It's something you take anytime. It's something that is quite very affordable and accessible any day, anytime. You know? Yes,
All
that's basically
right.
it.
Well, I love this year, and you know, so I'm Niiamah Ashong, like, and I go with Outliers Edge as like the business brand here. But for a number of years, I went with Niiamah Ashong, and even before that, I went with a nickname Nemo, right? So Niiamah was the name I was born with, more or less. Like I got complicated when my parents gave it, but and then I went with Nemo Ashong, and you can still find me online with like if you go to any of those websites, it'll direct you to Outliers Edge and beyond. Uh, but what I love here is like both of you are very clear. Like this is a personal brand. Like there's something about like putting in your name into it and being part of what grows out here. So let me ask you here, what was when you first got started, whether it was with the podcast, whether it's with the business that you have here, like when you first got started, what was the thing that like that got you from going from that basically got you in the game. What was the changing point that said, okay, now is the time that I need to go and share my thoughts. Now is the time to go and start building out the brand. Amir, let me start with you, then we'll go to Ayomide.
Okay, what actually inspired me, or what actually motivated me into starting a podcast is I'm quite a thinker, you know. I usually have a lot of things going through my head, and I grew up being the silent one. I don't usually have one to talk to. You know, those things are just inside of me, not coming out, and uh, I just feel like letting these things out will help me grow, and in the process also help other people grow. You know, it's just a way of me impacting what I have in me into others. It's just a way of me communicating with a whole lot of people. And that is just what birthed my podcast.
Yeah, I love that day where it's like there's something that need to come out. So let's do it. I think this is really cool just because there's a lot of outliers listening here that have one of the like many different thoughts, but one of them being like, who would want to hear from me? Who would want to hear what my thoughts are? You know, I have a lot to say, or I have a lot that I would say, but who would want to hear it? And what I love is that you're like, let's just get this out there. Let's start playing with this and go. Ayomide, tell us a little about you, like what got you to actually get things started. You can go with the podcast, or you, like I know you have your own business too, so you can let us know more about that if that would be um, more relevant.
Okay, thank you. So it all started in the COVID year, and right before then, I'd always had this dream, let me call it that way. I always had that desire to have a platform where I get to share my thoughts. I get to say exactly how I feel about things, and just letting out my own worldview out there. And COVID period was just like the perfect moment. Everybody is logged in, and somehow it feels like you don't have the world as close to you anymore. But you know, having a podcast is a sort of way of bringing the world closer. So that was what inspired me starting my podcast and my business. So in 2018, I I was actually traveling. I was on the road, and it just came in a flash, an inspiration. And I thought to myself, oh, there are actually people who want to travel, and they don't have a personal chauffeur to drive them. And I saw that as a very their need, okay, in a country like this. And that was what bettered my business.
So I love this here. Thank you both for just like being in a space of like there was something that needed to come out. There's a time for it to come out, and like you ended up jumping into it. Let me ask you, what's something that you like started out knowing, and then at the end of the day, like came out to learn and um let's say this. I've been asking this question. I've been finding it to be really like helpful for me to understand. But what's a belief that you had, something that you thought was true about, getting your podcast out there, building your business, so like even just being a leader. 'Cause I look at each of you as leaders because you stepped into creating something out in the world. What's something that you thought was true that ended up being like not true for you when it came to it? Uh, Ayomide, why don't we start with you, and we'll go over to Amir afterwards.
Okay. I'm still trying to process my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Something I thought was true, right?
Yeah,
And
so
then
it's like a belief that you had about like how business needed to be, how like like showing up with your podcast and such had to be, and then as you did it, you're like, actually, for me, this is what is actually the truth.
all right, yeah. So I would say that one of the first, shockers that I got, starting out my podcast was that podcasting is really not easy.
It's not, right? Can we just say
It's
that real
not.
quick? It's not. There's a reason why I reach out to podcasters. Like, there's a lot of people I
It's
could reach out
not
to.
easy.
I reach out to podcasters because I'm like, you have to really like what this thing is to like get your message out. Because it's not like you can't just like you don't just hit a webcam and just go. So go ahead. It's not easy. Keep going.
Yeah. So, prior to when started my podcast, I was trying to shoot an ad for my business, and I just found out that it was really difficult, getting the right pitch of your voice, the right face gestures, and all of that. And then I thought, wow, guys that do this are actually doing a lot, because it didn't go really well. I think at the end of the day, I had to, get someone to do it for me. So, starting out the podcast, I saw that definitely your first set of podcast releases are going to be very shit. So, but the good thing about it is that, with human nature, you always get to improve on every single one, and all of that. So, you look back at, people who have gone ahead, in this podcasting thing, and you see how almost perfect their episodes and all of that come out, and then you think, oh, this has to be something very easy. This is something I can do, straight off. But when you get into it directly, then you know that, oh, there's a whole lot of learning process, and growth to experience.
There's a whole lot in there. I think that's really quite key. I mean, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I realize like I'm going to join you all in this conversation a bit here, in the sense of like the things that you don't know that you don't know. Talk about like unknown unknowns, and stepping into it and creating it. And one of the things that I've been finding is that like you can't even begin to understand how much you don't know until you actually start it, right? There's no opportunity that's sold, whether it's having a business, which I'm still finding out like more that I didn't know, to the podcast, and beyond, and leadership in general. Like you can't really understand it all until you actually jump into it, you know. I mean, I'm curious about you. What's something that you might have thought was true beforehand, and then once you actually like started doing it, you found out it was something different, for at least for you.
Um, like Ayomide had said, I podcasting is actually not easy. I'm very sure if you had checked my page, you'll see that I started sometime 2021, and so far I stopped 2023. I picked it up. I've not been actually stable. Um, one of the challenges I had, one of those things that I saw that was actually was not true. Was being a public servant, being a public officer. I kind of have my restrictions on takes on society. I have extents which I can indulge in matters. I have extents which I can interfere in issues. And me being a thinker, like I said earlier, I kind of had a restriction. I could not come out fully. I could not come out as much as I want to, and that has actually been a very serious obstacle for me. However, I still intend, I'm just still working out around issues. In fact, I have to even register for a um a podcast class. I have someone who is actually a big podcaster. She's into it big time and she does a whole lot. I have to enroll with her, let her put me through one or two things. And even despite the classes, I still haven't gotten that, that's that stand. I'm still here and there, I'm still dangling, not stable. But it has not been easy all the way. It hasn't been easy. But seeing your invitation, it's just like a wake.
Hold on there, Amir. Looks like we lost there, but I think I know where this was going here. We'll have you come back in, but yeah, like there's something about this invitation that I send to people that ends up like catching them both off guard, and also like igniting something in them. Like, oh wait, hold on, maybe this is something I should lean into a little bit more. There's something that's out here. I think that's one of the reasons why I love doing Outliers Edge. Well, actually, I'll even speak to it, like, because that actually is a belief that like has shown up for me that I didn't really see happening in the past. Can you all hear me right now? All right. Allies, we got a quick little technical difficulties. We're gonna just get this back online. One of the things that got me is this component of one of the beliefs I had, which is like, okay, if I'm reaching out to people here, I'm going to be imposing on them. I'm going to be intruding. People are going to be really upset that I'm inviting them. And that's been one of the things that's actually been pretty interesting as these conversations have been going on, which is like, actually, look, realistically, some people are like, who is this guy and why is he reaching out to me? How did like, there's that. Like, I get that. People are like, I'm not sure if you were a scam, like what this was, right? I mean, are you laughing because you're like, I know that one. I know that feeling.
Yeah, I
Um,
get.
you get that, right? Um,
Yeah.
but what I found is that, like, as this has gone on and we've had more of these sessions, to your point, you had said earlier about like you get better at this. Um, I'm excited to see how like my 50th podcast panel compared to my first one ends up being. But what I have started to realize is that, like, there's a gift in the invitation. So Amir, you were saying something along the lines of like, when I sent you that invite and then we ended up having a connection issue. What I was saying is that, like, that actually is a belief that has changed for me, because now I realize that, like, one of my I had thought that inviting was imposing, but actually inviting is leadership. Me choosing to invite someone into something is me leading. And sometimes people will say yes, whether they say yes or no to me, it gives you all a chance. It gives them an opportunity to make a choice, and something comes out of that. So Amir, we lost you a little bit earlier. I want to know if you wanted to finish your thought around, like, hey, when the email from me came in, or if you feel like that you captured that already.
Yes, yes, yes. I didn't know what happened actually. I just said when I got your invitation, it was just more like a kind of wake up call for me, to just get back in the grind and just wake up my steeds. You understand? So
Yeah.
it's a good one. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, this is it. These are the wake up calls that we have, in proverbial wake up calls. And it's just like, but the opportunity is always there, right? We get to choose, like, what we want to do with it. We get to choose how we're going to navigate with it. And so I'm appreciative of this year. Um, I mean, I'm interested in you. Like, what's been one of the most rewarding parts of stepping out on your own and creating, like, a business and brand that resonates with you?
All right. Thank you so much. I think one of the interesting parts is that uh, the experiences that come from, having to do something, for your own, you are actually the first benefactor of it, because
Mm,
it feeds your confidence. Okay, so that confidence helps you to take on more new adventures. So because you have this experience, you have handled some things, it feeds you that belief that you can take on more, and then you're able to push your limits. You're able to, dream bigger. You're able to believe in yourself. You are also able to aspire even things that you think you don't know, because every day we get to know a bit of ourselves. Okay, so you definitely don't know that, oh, I didn't know I could do this, but that's another unveiling of yourself. So you are
mm,
getting to know yourself better
mm.
across the process.
What's one place where you're challenging your own limits? What's one place that you are getting to know yourself better nowadays?
I would say that I'm getting to know myself better in how I respond to difficult moments.
Mm,
Because it's there's one quote that I really just live by.
mhm,
And I found it, in a difficult moment also. And the quote, let me paraphrase now, said, we learn better in times of failure and difficulties
mhm,
than when things are going, smoothly. And
mhm,
that is something that has really helped me to know myself. Okay, you know your triggers, you know what gets you up, you know what sets you in the mood, and all of that thing. So you know your weaknesses, you know how you can, create systems to help you navigate them and all of that.
Outliers, I'm thinking about this here, and whether you are like starting something from scratch, anew at the beginning stages of it, or you're starting from scratch in the middle of doing something, or you're improving things that have been working. I think that component of like being in action first and using that to go and learn what you need to learn, to bridge the gaps. Like it's one of the things. I mean, like that's one of the things I'm taking from what you just said there, where it's like you don't know what you don't know while you're outside. And then once you're in it, then you know, oh, I need to build the systems, not just in the business, not just for the podcast, but also like a system of me. I'm realizing now that I'm spending more time holding space with people and meeting new people all over. I'm like, I think it's time for me to go back to the gym. Interestingly enough, going back to the gym, I feel more motivated to do that as part of my leadership regimen than like just for my health. I'm like, oh, I need to be able to stand for several hours in a row. Or get into my meditation. There was a time where I used to wake up. I lived in Singapore, y'all, for 4 years. And while I was living out there, I was having calls with people in the US. And my first call would start at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I would wake up at like 4:30 and do the meditation so that I would be up, awake. Sometimes I would feel like more energized than the people I was meeting in the US, even though it was like my 5 a.m. because I was like, oh, this is what I need to do in order to show up and be powerful on their level, like at this time or beyond. And so when I hear what you're saying there, it really does break me into the space of like, and Outliers, if any of you are like sitting on the fence and saying, I need to know everything first, I'm like, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. And it doesn't mean you have to go it alone as you're figuring it out, but there's something to the element of like actually jumping in the game so you can see what needs to be done and actually do it and have it underneath your boat. Amir, Ayomide, I wanted to see like any other thoughts you have related to this, like when I get your take on this. Nothing new to add on to that. If that's the case, that's totally fine. We'll continue down a different path here. Right. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Let me ask you this question here. What would you say? What would you say has been the most successful thing that you've tried when it comes to your business, your leadership, your impact, your podcast? What would you say has been the most successful thing that you've taken on? And then tell me about like whether or not you thought it was going to be a success when you got into it or not. Yeah, I mean, I see you smile a little bit there, so maybe you can get us kicked off, and then Amir, I'll come to you.
Okay. So let me start with something that I found a bit of success with.
Yeah.
So let me start out with podcasting. So that starting out, somehow it almost seems like nobody is actually listening. And
Get that. We're all shaking our heads here, Outliers. We're all like, well, that's what it feels like.
You feel like, hey, I think I better get something better to do with my time, and let me just put this aside and all. But I got to find out that as with any other thing, as with any other adventure you can pick up in life, you have to be the first believer in yourself. So people need to see that belief in yourself before they can attach their own faith into what you're doing. So one of the success that I got was having people resonate with what I share. And it even got really surprising at a point in time when when I took breaks, people actually reached out. Oh, hey, we've not heard from you, we've not seen your podcast, what's up, what's going on? And I felt really good with myself that I had to put the first foot forward. Okay. I had to, even when if it, it felt like nobody was watching, I had to keep on going. And, these are the things that people actually watch out for. So they see that, or if you actually have this belief and you kept on going, then definitely there's something there. Okay. And that's when people can now go on that journey with you. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
it.
am I am rocking as you say this, like physically moving in my spot. You might be able to see it there, because it's energizing me. Yeah, I'm out like I'm like literally bouncing here, and it's that component of you got to be the first, like you got to be the first one to believe, your first believer, you know. And I think that just it's especially with us here as outliers here. Like I think at certain points in our life, we've had that in the past. We've had it in maybe small moments, maybe in large moments. Maybe we've done it inside of a corporate setting, and now we're out on our own. We're building our own business, and we're like, wait a minute, I don't have that same kind of feedback. I don't have my manager to talk to about this. I don't have like there's something missing. Like, how do I know if I'm doing a good job or not? And then
Yeah.
you still got to
Yeah.
keep doing stuff, right? Go ahead. I mean, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, so I was also going to talk about in the business aspect,
Yeah.
and when you have to, when you're starting something new and you have to bootstrap. Okay,
Mhm.
so you don't have one money saved up somewhere and you just have to make it work.
Mm.
And it's also, back to the point I made about podcasting, that you have to be the first believer in yourself. So at the initial stage, it just seemed like, oh, this is a guy who just has dreams in his head. Let's see how far it's gonna take him before, he cries for help and all of that. And you you get to a point where people are actually handing you lifelines. So they're like, hey, how about you try this? How about you try this? But you just have to convince yourself that, hey, I see something here and I'm going to keep up with it, and
So when you
just
say
keep on.
lifelines, just they are they suggesting you do something different, or that they're trying to help
Yeah,
you to be, yeah, they're like, okay, this isn't
no,
working. Why don't you?
they're giving you something different. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're trying to say, hey, I don't think there's any light at the end of this tunnel. Why not take this? Why not do this? Okay. Or they're like, oh, I don't know how long you're going to keep up at this, but you have to pay bills, you have to live life and all of that. But you see, you're just grinding and thinking of the best way forward and all of that. So like I said, eventually when people see that you are on a course that you seem to believe in, then they now come together to help you get there. Because when they find out that you are unmovable, you are not yielding to their pressure, then they will come around and help you get to where you want to go. So everybody now comes around, and then they are bringing in, helpful tips. This one is saying, "Oh, I know somebody here who can be of great help to you, can help you do this, and all of that." So
Yeah, let's
yeah.
let's keep building off this here. Amir, I saw you nodding as you were saying there. Like, what parts of this resonate for you? Like, and tell us a bit about how this relates to your journey.
I hear AY talk about, I mean, Ayomide talk about um starting the podcast, how he thinks he's doing and how people feels he's doing. When I started as well, I was just pouring out my own thoughts, just saying what I have on my mind without even thinking of whatever it is. And I saw that my first podcast, had over 600 listenings, because I kind of followed the activity. I realized that it was listened to in different countries, Turkey, Germany, and the likes. So those things got me thinking, and in fact, it got me to want to do more because I was like, wow, is this how much I could actually impact people? Is this how far I can go? If I put in more effort, can I do better than this? And realizing that after I stopped for a while, and people ask me, what have you been doing? And I tell people about my podcast that, okay, yes, I used to have a podcast channel. I do this, I do that. And they'll be like, oh, let me just listen. And they come back and give the feedback, and they're like, wow, this is really nice. This is really good. You should have done more. You shouldn't have stopped, Those things are actually kind of success stories for me. And there are things that would push me to want to do more. You know, even me, sometimes I go back and I go back to listen to it, and I am kind of impressed with myself. I say yes. Probably that's even the reason I don't even want to lower the standard. I always want to, as much as I can, do the best, as in bring out the best in me as far as my podcast is concerned. And my I wouldn't say business because I'm not into business. I'm employed. My work, um, my success story in my work line, is the fact that yes, I put in my best. I do the best I can. I do everything I can. But the success story is just the fact that yes, the best I'm putting in is being recognized, is being admitted. My work environment understands that yes, this person is doing his best, and they acknowledge my efforts. And so far, my work has been sustainable. It has been something I can point at anytime and be proud of and beat my chest that yes, this is what I do for a living. It's one of the best things that has happened to me. It's really good, and it's it's quite a success story for me. Yes, that is just it.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm grateful for y'all. We're gonna start wrapping up the conversation here in a bit, but like what I'm getting here is like the element of like just going for it and learning as it comes along. And that can sound like 'cause I've been doing business for 7 years, something like that, longer than that with the podcast. Like the first thing I got into, yeah, I guess 10 years since I first like got into something. And I still think about that. Just do it. Right? Even here with the podcast, this becomes a new product. It becomes a new project. And as I'm thinking about this here, um, I'm hearing the components of you can't know what's involved until you actually get in. One, once you get in, like you got to be your first believer. Like if you're waiting for other people to believe it for you, like you might be sorely out on an island on that. So like learn how to self-sustain, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there was like a Gandhi quote that talks about this. I would have to paraphrase it. I haven't looked it up in a while. Like, let me see if I can just pull it up right now. But it's like, um, hold on a second. I'm gonna see if I can like really grab it. Okay. So whether this might be it's attributed to him, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's just first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. you know and there's something in there, whether it's him or not, it's been attributed to him. There's something in that component of like just being with that journey of knowing that like, hey, like, because the people around you, they care, they want to see you successful, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, they're right until
Yeah.
they're wrong.
Yeah.
That's the part
Exactly.
that's like the
You
hardest
you
part.
have that's your work to do.
Yeah. Tell me about
That's
that
your,
when you said it. That's your work to do. I think that's like a really great thing for us to like start closing out on.
yeah. You have to you have to do that work to bring them over to your side.
Yeah. Yeah.
You That work lies on you. So
And when you say you have to do that work, like when I hear that in one level, like if I wasn't listening to this conversation, I would say like, oh, I have to go convince them that my idea is okay, and through words or through my passion, you know. But I think what I got from you is like, no, the work is you got to actually go out and make it successful. You got to continue staying in. You have to keep
yeah.
finding some wins and letting them know about it, and just like keep working through it. Let me not put words in your mouth. Like what would you say is the work?
Okay. And He was actually sorry. I think my light just went out.
Okay.
So he was actually saying something about, when you follow the activity on the podcast, okay? So you see that, oh, there are actually people listening, okay, from all across the world.
Yep.
And there's a way you build that belief around you. So when you see that, oh, I released an episode and oh, hey, over 600 people listen, you share it, you share that amongst your people.
Yeah.
Okay. So it continues to fuel that belief. And it lets them see that they're actually missing out. Okay, what's this thing that you are doing that over 600 people are listening to? Okay. So you are getting to fuel their belief that, hey, I don't think 600 people could all be wrong. If 600 people think that you are doing something right and they could give their time to listen, okay, why not? Why not I listen and let me see what's up in there.
Exactly.
So yeah, so you have to fuel that belief by showing your process. Okay, every of your little wins, you have to share it. So and that's how you build a community, that's how you build followership and all of that. Just sharing your process.
I love it. Amir, is there anything you want to say, add on to that, Amir?
Yes, I actually agree with him. Sharing your success stories helps you become more successful. It's engraves that belief you want people to have. It engraves it in their hearts. It builds a kind of level of trust people would have in whatever craft you are into. You like he said that okay, yes, you have a recording and you see it go far and wide. It's something you can share, let them know that yes, this is how far you've gone. This is just something little you did and look at how far it has gone. It's like a kind of acknowledgement. Let them know that yes, you know what you're doing and you are doing what you are doing, you're doing it right. That is the belief you have in yourself. Telling yourself that yes, what I've done here is good and people should come and see the good thing I've done.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And it's like you're actually taking the action to go do it. Well, I appreciate both of you here. And Ayomide, like one of the things I also really appreciate, if you're not watching the video, you may not have noticed. He mentioned this here, but like his lights went out. And like at the same time, like just super cool. Like delivered the message, so on and so forth. Like these moments of like actually living life and having to continue to navigate and bringing that out with you. So I think like they make the difference. And then to both of your points, sharing it, making sure people know and making sure you yourself consider it a win so that you go and share it with other people that to build in more, just build more with you. Well, let's wrap up this conversation here, and I like to do this by doing two things. One, Outliers, if any of you are listening to this and something in this conversation really reached you, touched your heart, felt really important to you, go ahead and share this message, share this episode with someone. One person is what I ask. So think of one person in your life and just say, like, hey, I was listening to this and I thought of you specifically. With that being said, like Amir, and then I mean, are you with us still? Okay. If you are, we can't hear you, so I just want to make sure you bring that in. But Amir, let's come to you, and then I'd like to get how can people continue to follow you, to get to know you more, to dive deeper into your world? One, and then two, what's an insight, what's a takeaway you're taking from this conversation? And if the answer is like I'm not taking anything away, that's fine too.
um, I'm actually taking a lot away, from your gesture by inviting me to this podcast. It's actually the biggest takeaway. It's something to show that yes, you can actually do better with other persons. You can learn from each other. You can gain something from one another. Having this podcast is actually an eye opener. I've learned one or two things, especially from Ayomide, from his experiences, and from what he has said. Even you, because right now this conversation is like a network for me already. This particular episode is a network for me already, as I would love to have contacts with you, the both of you, and try to do something with you more, try and create something more special with you, do something better with you, learn from you, especially gain a whole lot from you. Quite, this episode is just everything. I'm taking a whole lot away from it, and I learned in this episode that before others could believe in you, you need to believe in yourself. Before you could bring people to come to you, it's a work you need to do. You need to do that work to bring people to you, to make people believe in your craft. It's not something people will just find themselves doing. It is your efforts that is going to bring people over to your side. Yes, I'm taking a whole lot away.
Oh, thank you for that here. And look, I want to invite you to continue down the journey with us here, right? While we're having this conversation, we also have what we call the Outliers Edge Guild, which is a free community for amazing outliers like yourself to come in and get support and building their dreams, their aspirations, and their goals. We take things, we break it down into 30-day sprints, and we meet actually each week to get it done. And we do this all for free. So like Amir, I want to see you inside of the guild. You've gotten an invitation for it already. Come, like there's opportunities for us to continue growing together there. And then the outlier that's
Yes,
listening to
I'm there already. I'm
all
there
right,
already.
perfect. We're going to keep playing. We're going to be playing there. And then any outliers that want to come join us, the two of us in there, or any of the other guests that we've had on the podcast, you can just go to outliersedge.com/guild, and you can continue the conversation with all of us in that space. And beyond just like being there for the social part of it here, it's really, and like I guess really the peership part of it. It's not really the social, but the peership part. Bring something you're working on, and we will help you grow it and bring it out to life together. All right. Um,
Yeah.
it looks like we were staying on here. We were hoping to get Ayomide back onto the conversation to hear more about how to follow him. He has Ayomide Femi, which is his podcast there. So go take a listen to that. Clearly, there's a lot of insights and other things that he has to offer here. So outliers, go take a listen to that. We won't be able to get to know his takeaway directly, but he also is an invited member of the Outliers Edge Guild. So there's more to keep growing with. And by the time you're listening to this, we might be playing the game even more differently. You might come in there and Amir's just like organizing and arranging things himself. So just know that we're like, we got you. We got you. Like you believe in you. You show up. And then we got you day in, day out. Like we're not messing around with it. And I think they might actually be able to come join us here for the last bit of it of the conversation. We're crossing our fingers overall, and part of the reason why I'm staying on is because it goes like these are the things that you can't. These are the things that become stories that people talk about later on, right? It's like in the moment. What are you doing to keep showing up? What are you doing to keep making it work out for you? Ayomide, are you with us? Can you hear us? I think we're close. Yeah. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. So we're wrapping up here. We wanted to. I saw that you were coming back, so I wanted it to make sure that you were here for us here. And Outliers, like this is it. These are the moments where it's like things aren't perfect, right? This stuff doesn't get edited out in my world. Not like I was gonna say not because I'm lazy, but I'm like, yeah, it is actually. I like to use. I like to leverage my time, and I don't like but I think the real is that like in editing things out so everything looks perfect, you miss out on what it actually takes to bring something to life. It accidentally creates this false narrative around like everything looks good. And I'm like, you can leave that for social media. When in my world, we're gonna be real with each other. So I mean, I want to just say thank you here. And the thank you I have for you is through your determination. I saw you coming back in the room multiple times, like you made some moves to make this come to life. And I'm like, all right, this is why you're successful, because you don't stop going for it. You never stop. So we're wrapping up here with just how outliers can continue the journey, how they can continue getting to know you, and then one insight that you have, and then we'll end for today. Oh, we got really close. Just when it's coming in here, it looks like we lost them altogether. With that outliers, we're gonna have to actually close down the space for today. But just know that we appreciate you, Amir, Ayomide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your insights, your expertise, your experiences all to the table. We appreciate you. And we'll continue on from there. Up. Ayomide, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up here? Any insights you want to share with us and how people can follow up with you?
Okay, thank you so much for this time. It's been a very enlightening session, and somehow you really made me, relive some moments, going down into memory lane and all of that. And while we're, talking, it just made me remember that, podcasting was actually what led me, to learn, at least to some very good extent. I learned about graphic design and all of that. Okay, so I had to now, design my covers.
Unfortunately, we just lost him, and we're at time right now. So we're hearing the message that he has out there. Outliers, this is it. This is the relentless list. This is the keep showing up here. Know that we're appreciative, and we'll go from there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for making the time for this, and we're going to keep growing with each other. All right. All right. Be well.
Thank you very much. It's a big pleasure having you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.